Right, today we're in the shop messing with the brakes on the old Plymouth. I just wanted to take a quick minute here to show a couple things. Actually, the brake shoes on this side are not that bad, surprisingly. Let me get this light off here. Here we go. It's actually not that bad at all. I've already removed the brake line that goes between the two wheel cylinders. That line came loose just fine, surprisingly. I've got the brake line removed from the brake hose. That came loose, surprisingly. But this brake would lock up on me from time to time and was making a grinding noise. And I have determined why. You can kind of see it actually, the brake shoe was rubbing against the hub, the brake drum, and that's because, take a second here and see if anybody can notice the problem. But if you look, there's a clip to hold the brake shoe back there, and there's one here, but somebody did not get the brake shoe behind that clip, and so the brake shoe has been rubbing the hub, the drum, and that's how come it would lock up from time to time. So somebody's been in here, and whoever replaced these brake shoes once upon a time did not get that in the right position. So, but I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to get some brake clean all this up a little bit, and check out the wheel cylinders. I've got new cups and springs to put in those. And I've got a hone. If I need to hone them out, we can hone them out. And I've got new brake shoes to put in on this side. And like I said, they're actually not too much different than the ones that are on there, thickness wise. So somebody had put new brakes on this thing not long before, I would say. I got these brake shoes off of Amazon. And I believe that's where they came from right there. And they were $100 for the set for the front. And so we're gonna work on getting things cleaned up and check out the wheel cylinders and try and get this side done up here in a minute. So I'll catch back up with you in a few. Right, I have updates. I got all the brake stuff off of the front on the driver's side. Believe it or not, everything came loose. The brake hose, the brake lines, everything came loose. I was afraid I was going to have to beat and break and cut stuff, but everything came apart. So I got the wheel cylinders off, and I had a kit to rebuild those. And I got the top wheel cylinder off. I'm like, oh yeah, that should be rebuildable. Hone it out, put new seals and cups in it. And I got the bottom one off. And it is foobarred. I'm not even going to attempt to rebuild that. That is just gone. So I think instead of using this kit that I had, the kit came with both front brake hoses and the rear brake hose. I can use those. And of course it came with all the seals and new rubbers, new springs, all that good stuff. Even came with the kit to rebuild the master cylinder. I think it was like $60 for that whole kit to do all the brake cylinders, wheel cylinders and stuff. I'm just going to buy 4 new wheel cylinders for the front and be done with it. I'm not going to mess with trying, because the other side probably going to be about the same way. I will keep the one for the master cylinder. I may rebuild it. I may replace it with something different. I haven't gotten decided 100% yet. But I will keep these because in the future, who knows, one of my wheel cylinders may start leaking or something, and I'll have the stuff I need to rebuild it. But it was worth the 3 rubber lines anyway. So money wasn't lost on that kit, but I will break down and buy 4 new wheel cylinders for the front. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting on parts, I'll get stuff cleaned up. I'll get all the excess grease knocked off of the fittings and joints, get that spritzed up and do a marketplace rebuild in there, make that front end area look all nice and neat. So that'll give me something to do while I'm waiting on parts, but for now we're just going to have to wait on parts. So alright, till the next one. Right, back in the shop on the brakes for the 489 Plymouth. I've got the driver's side all done up. I end up ordering new wheel cylinders from Mopar Pro. They worked out just fine. My brake lines and everything were fine. Got the new brake hose put in. Did a little Craigslist touch up into the fender well area and the backing plate for the brakes and all that good stuff. So that looks much better. I did have a little issue on the new brake shoes where the bolts go through. The hole was just a little tight and would not let my bolts go through, so I had to take a little grinding stone and a drill, and I had to ream this hole out just a little bit. Some of that was from the paint, I'm sure, that's on there, but it just did not have quite enough space for me to put those bolts through. So I got that done. Got this side all ready to put the hub back on. I've got to clean the wheel bearings and re-grease those, and then I'll put this hub, drum, whatever you want to call it, back on this side. The drum is actually in really good shape. There's no lips, no grooves, so we'll just clean her up, give her a little spritzy spritz, and she'll be just fine. So I think while I've got this side up in the air, since the master cylinder's right under there, while I've got this side up in the air, I'll go ahead and jack it up a little higher, and I will play with the master cylinder for just a little bit, see how easy that's going to be to mess with before I move to the passenger side. But that's got this side all done up for the brakes. I think it turned out pretty good. We'll see once we get some brake fluid flowing. We'll see make sure I don't have any leaks anywhere. But I think we'll be just fine. So for now, that's it. Alright, still on the brakes on the Plymouth. I got the driver's side all put back together, and it's going to be working good, I believe. The passenger side, I pulled the drum off. It's a different story, where the driver's side had almost brand new brake shoes on it. This side has no pad left at all on the shoes. There's a piece fell off when I took the drum off. There's a broken spring. Wheel cylinders leaking. So yeah, what looked like on the driver's side somebody had put new brakes on, this side's all messed up. So I'm going to have to get a new spring ordered, I guess, or try and find something close to fix it. But I'm going to work on getting this side tore apart and get it cleaned up like I did the driver's side. And hopefully that'll get me some brakes. I'm hoping the brake line comes loose like the other side did. That was pretty nice. I did manage, while the driver's side was up, I worked on the master cylinder and rebuilt it for the most part. And I was able to do it on the car. The only thing I did not do is I did not pull the pin out, the rod that actually pushes on the plungers. So this piece did not get changed, and the boot did not get changed. But the spring and the cup for the other side did get changed. And I honed out the bore. It only looked like there's a cup that goes right here, and then when you push on the brake pedal, this compresses and it pushes the brake fluid through your lines. This side goes toward the lines. It was a little rusty in the bore right through this area, so when that cup would push, it was going over some rough spots, and I don't think it was sealing quite well enough to push fluid. And then there's like a one-way valve on here. It was leaking as well. It did not seat tight. So now I have a really good brake pedal. I still haven't bled the brakes because I'm not done with the passenger side, so we'll get to that. But yeah, these are the brake shoes off the driver's side, and they look just like the brand new ones almost. So I don't know what went on. Somebody just did one side and said the heck with it or what. But anyway, I'm going to get back to redoing the passenger side. Right, still in the shop on the brakes on this 49 Plymouth. And I had these all put together. And brake pedal was actually building up to an actual pedal. And I started leaking brake fluid out of this side, something fierce. And come to find out, there is a copper washer, can't really see it very good, a copper washer on the brake hose, and I reused the copper washer that was on there, and it was bad. So the only way to really get that apart, because there's not enough shoulders of that brake line to get the brake hose off, is you got to take the wheel cylinder back out and pull the brake hose back through to put a new copper washer on there. So I take this side all back apart. Now I'm working on putting it all back together. I got the rubber hose tight on the wheel cylinder. I'll get the little loop-de-doo brake line tightened back up. Get my bolts put back through the shoes. Get that all readjusted again. And we will try to get a pedal built up again. Now, I'm hoping, because the driver's side, I never got any fluid to the bleeders over there. And I'm hoping that's because all the brake fluid was coming this side. So I'm hoping that once I get this side sealed up to where it doesn't leak, that I'll start getting brake fluid on the driver's side and I can bleed it. If not, then I've either got a clog in a line or a pinched line or something over there. But it's got new rubber hose and everything on that side as well. So I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But for now, I'm going to get this side back together, get the drum back on it, and then we'll see if we can't get this side bled again and hopefully get the driver's side working. So I'll catch up with you in a bit. Right, finally, after a couple hours of messing with the brakes on this Plymouth, I got the passenger side bled with the help of my wife, and then we still could not get any fluid on the driver's side. So I opened up the bleeders all the way, and I finally just kept forcing the brake pedal as hard as it could, and evidently there was a blockage in that line going somewhere to that wheel, and I finally got it to break loose, and we finally got the driver's side to bleed, and I think it is working now. So the passenger side I had a little trouble with still. There's some screwy things going on this passenger side with the front brakes. The new shoes did not fit on there fine, but the drum did not want to fit over the new shoes, even with the shoes being adjusted all the way in. It still did not want to fit over there. So I took the shoes to the belt sander and took just a little bit off of the shoe lining, and it fit on there finally. But it's still a little snug. I'm hoping with driving around the yard a little bit here, that will free up. It'll roll backwards fine, but it wants to kind of hang up going forward. So we're going to try and just drive this thing around a little bit. I moved it back and forth in the shop, and it drags pretty hard going forward. So I may have to revisit the passenger side and try and figure out whether I need to take a little bit more off the linings or take a little bit off of the little rods that push the brake shoes out from the wheel cylinders. Something. I'll figure something out. Something's happened on this side. You can tell this side had been wrecked at one time because the hood's been filled and the paint's different on this fender. So I kind of wonder if they didn't have to replace some things on this side back in the day, and it's just not wanting to line up right. But that being said, I am going to call that a win. I'm about tired of fighting with it a little bit. I have not done anything with the rear brakes, mainly because I do not have a drum puller. And secondly, that axle's not staying under there. So we are going, tomorrow is a Sunday before Labor Day. We're going to make a trip to Lynn, Missouri. There's a guy that has a 4.3 liter Chevy motor, V6 motor that I want to put in here. And he has a rear end of a Ford Ranger. I know, it's Ford. It'll work. Hopefully the track width will be right on the rear end of that Ford Ranger. I think it's pretty close. The lug pattern will be the same, so I'll still be able to use my factory wheels. But hopefully we can make that work. If it doesn't work, I'm only out $125 and I can send it on down the road to somebody that can use it. But I think it'll work. So for now, we're going to call this good enough. I'm going to play around with it in the yard just a little bit, and hopefully it'll work. So till next time, thanks. All right, I got back from cruising around the yard a little bit and up and down the street some. Brakes are still going to need some work. Not 100% sure the master cylinder. I rebuilt it and it held a good pedal for a little bit, but now it's kind of wanting to leak off. But that could be because of the back brakes. I haven't done anything with those. We'll see. Like I said, still got a long way to go, but at least it did stop itself. Wasn't great, but it did stop itself. So I think I'm going to be taking a break on this thing for a little bit. So we're going to go pick up that motor. I've got the transmission that I'm messing with. I think I'm going to have to... I had a pan bolt break off in it, and I've been trying to get that out, and I broke my easy out off in there. So now I'm probably going to have to put an easy out, not an easy out, a helicoil in there. But anyway, that's going to get sent off to get rebuilt. It's 700 R4. It should bolt up to the 4.3 liter V6 just fine. I have to get a torque converter for it. The 4.3 liter will get a 4-barrel intake, HEI distributor, and a 4-barrel carb just like the Scout did. So we're going to take a break on this thing for a little bit till I get some parts built up. I still got interior work to finish up. May show a little bit of that. We're going to paint the dash black, all that good junk. But I need to take a little break for a little bit, get some other things done. Need to get on this silly thing, trying to figure out if it'll run or not and get it usable. Other than that, that's going to be it for now. I did get it running and stopping. That's a plus. I would like to have been able to get it a little more stopping power to it, but at least it did stop itself. All right, guys, have a good one.